Hello friends, welcome to Openstack training. Openstack Victoria, Usuri, both are covered in this training. This is my next lecture on the series. So far we configured these services. This is our Openstack catalog list. We configured Nova Compute with these endpoints, Keystone Identity Service with these endpoints, Glance Image Service with these endpoints, then Neutron and the placement. We also configured dashboard. So dashboard is also available, that is a horizon dashboard, and this is our dashboard 10.0.0.11/dashboard. Now if you look at this, dashboard is not working on HTTP, it is working on HTTPS. Another important point I would like to share before I proceed is that in the dashboard we have done some branding also. You will see the name, the Skillpedia OpenStack. You have seen the name, right? So from where this name have come, I'll share with you. I'm logging in as a root user, and let me pull that file where I made the changes in local settings. If you see in local settings, I done one setting here, and the setting is about the name. Simple debug false, use SSL false, and site branding. This is the title of the website, where if you use this keyword, use this variable, site branding is equal to whatever name you specify, it will display that name. Okay, now one error when I was configuring, I was verifying the services, I have done some troubleshooting. I configured Neutron. In Neutron, I faced some challenges when I was verifying the service working. Neutron was working fine, but when I tried to launch an instance, then there was an issue. And the issue was because of I missed one setting in nova.conf file on compute node. So I'm working on a compute, and I'll show you what I missed, because if you have watched my previous lecture, you might face the same challenge. And so therefore it is my duty to help you that, okay, hey, you have to fix this issue before you proceed. And the issue was here in nova.conf, and Neutron section was missing in this. This section was missing. I missed accidentally, because this should have been there on compute node, because in compute node you must tell where the networking is. This section was missing, and I added this Neutron section in nova.conf file on compute node, and then the issue was gone. What was the issue? I'll show you the issue also. Let me pull the file /var/log/nova compute.log. Here you will see the error. Yeah, here Neutron, network Neutron default, the section of your Nova config file must configure to authenticate with the networking service endpoint. This was the error, and I noticed that, and I fixed that issue. After that it started working fine. Now today's session is about the Cinder block storage. This training is brought to you by the Skillpedia, a platform for online training, teaching and learning online. The Cinder block storage is the agenda of the session. Before we proceed, I must tell you that what we require for this Cinder block storage. I'm going to configure the block storage on a separate node, and that node is storage node. And that's why I have not started it yet, because I wanted to share what needs to be done on this node. So you need to add extra disk to this, which will be used for block storage. So this is my additional disk number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because these two disks I'm going to use for Swift storage, and this third last disk I'm going to use for the block storage. So this is my fourth disk I added, which is of 8 GB. That's good for me. And now I'm starting the storage node. So before the storage node comes up, we have a lot of things to do on the controller node. So let's work on the controller node. This is my controller node, and we need to create the database, we need to create the service endpoints, we need to create the services. Obviously we have to do a lot of stuff here. So let's log into MySQL -u root and -p. Now we need a database, so let's create the database, Cinder. We need to grant the privileges. So let's grant the privileges, grant all privileges on Cinder to Cinder at localhost identified by CinderDB pass. and then this is from localhost. If the Cinder user try to connect from other hosts, it should be allowed, and that's why for the purpose I have given you at the rate percent sign. This percent sign is wildcard, and then flush privileges. Database part is done. Now switch to stack user and source your admin OpenRC. Openstack user create admin default, domain is default, project is service, and password is Cinder pass, and the service name is Cinder. Oh, sorry, username is Cinder. And then, as usual, as we have been doing for other services, we are going to add this user to admin role. In other words, we are going to assign admin role to this user. So OpenStack role add project service user Cinder, and the role is admin. After creating the user and role, we need to create the service. Let's create the service. OpenStack service create, name is Cinder version 2. Description, the Skillpedia OpenStack block storage, and volume v3. This is the name of our service, volume v3. So according to this volume v3, we are going to add the endpoints. Service created, let's add the endpoints. This is public endpoint. We need to add 3 endpoints, public, internal, and admin. So this is our internal endpoint. In production, we use different ports for different endpoints. But here, since we are doing a proof of concept, training purpose, so we are using the same endpoint. Once the service endpoints are created, we'll go and install the packages. So exit from here. As root user, let's install the packages. So dnf-y install OpenStack Cinder. Okay, packages are installed. Let's edit the file cinder.conf. Under default section, we need to specify the IP address, log directory, and API version 3 enable, and all that stuff. So let's put them together, and this is the entry. These are the entries we require: IP address, log directory, state path, auth strategy, transport URL, and auth strategy keystone. Enable version 3 API is true. Then under database section, we need to add the database as usual. Let's go to the database section. Under database, we need to set the connection, MySQL, py MySQL, Cinder DB pass, same thing. And then finally, we need to go to the keystone auth token. Keystone authentication have been same for all the services, and by now you should know there are 7-8 lines about keystone auth token. One is this authenticate URI, second is auth URL, memcache server, auth type, project domain names, user domain name, project name, username, and password, and then Oslo concurrency. And in this we have log path, and that's all for the setting as of now, because we need to come back to this file for configuring the volume details. Right now it is just identity service details which are configured. Change the permissions and change the group. The service needs to be owned by, the file needs to be owned by Cinder group. And now populate the database. Right, this will synchronize the database. Now we can enable the service, Cinder API service and Cinder scheduler service, OpenStack scheduler service. So let's enable the service, and when you say now, it will start the service now. Now add the port, that is 8776, and reload the firewall. Now we can verify whether service is available as far as keystone is concerned, though we have to configure the volume on the storage node. So let's switch to stack user, source the admin OpenRC, and verify the service OpenStack volume service list. Since we configured OpenStack version volume 3, if we don't get the right output, what we'll do is, oh, we got this, and we also need to add this to our admin openrc file, that is OS volume API version 3. Now let's go to the storage. Now first thing is we need to install the packages. If the package is not found, I got that package not found error, unable to find the package, so we need to configure the repository, which I've done. Let's enable the power tool repository, vi/etc/yum.repos.d. Under that we have repository CentOS power tools .repo, and right now it you see enabled is equal to 0, so we need to enable it by putting 1 in this file. Enabled is equal to 1. Save and quit, and now you can install Openstack Cinder target CLI and Openstack Cinder. Installation is complete. Now we need to edit the file cinder.conf on our storage node. We are working on the storage node. Under default section, we need to specify the similar details the way we provided on the controller node. What is IP address, log directory, but remember the IP address is of this machine, that is storage machine. Alright, the glance API server and transport URL, auth strategy, and under database also we need to specify the database details. Under that, database connection details. Once the database connections are done, you need to specify the keystone auth token. Under keystone auth authentication, keystone auth token, we specify the keystone details the way we have been doing so far for other services, and then same way we have to go to Oslo concurrency locking. We specify the lock path, so this is our lock path, and then finally we exit and change the ownership and the permissions of this file. So first thing, change the permissions, make it no permissions for others, and then change the ownership, it should be owned by Cinder group. And now we can enable the volume service and start the service. But we missed one thing, we need to create a policy for SA Linux here also, policy module, the way we have configured for other services. So let's create that. This is module iSCSI admin. This is a module created, and then we first need to check the module, then build the module, and then insert the module into the kernel. The check module command was not available, so we need to install the package check policy. So I'm installing the package check policy, and after that I'll use the command check module. Now everything is fine. Now I'll build the module and then insert this into kernel. Now the next step is storage. We have a fourth disk SDD, and we need to create a physical volume on the disk, and we need to create a logical volume group out of it, and we need to modify our cinder.conf file to specify these details. You can have different backends, like we can have NFS server, LVM, so we can have different backends. So we are going to use LVM as the backends for the storage, and we'll configure it. Okay, now let's create the volume cinder-volumes from the device/dev/sdd. You should get the device name here, SDD. This is our fourth disk, so I'm using SDD, which I added right in the beginning. You notice that. Now physical volume created out of it. VG create have done everything on its own. So VG display, that will display the volume we have created. VG display, and let me show you the file name, SDD Cinder volumes. This is a volume which I created here. Now we need to specify this in the file cinder.conf file. Under default section we need to specify backends, and our backend is, as you know, is LVM. So enable backends LVM, and then we can go to the end of the file and we add LVM details here. These are the details for the LVM. This is LVM section. Target helper, target protocol, target IP address, volume group which we created, volume drivers, and volume directory where the volumes will be stored. And we also need to verify one file that it is scanned properly before we go, and that is lvm.conf file, etc lvm, under that lvm.conf file. With this file, this must be filtered. So let's go to filter. Under filters you will see different filters, and we need to add the filter in right way. So let's check that. Look at this, these are the filters. So we need to allow filter every block device, CD-ROM, just a loopback device, and this is the anchors. So we can use this every block device. So this is A for all, this is for loopback, only loopback. This is the device HDC, accept all loopback devices, and ID driver accept HDC. Accept HDC means this is R means remove. Anchors to every specifiers, this is the way we specify to be very specific. This is a specific device to identify. We'll use this method. Enable this filter, and we need to specify SDD. This is our device. We need to enable this. Remove all. We don't want this, because remove all other devices. I don't want this. I want to continue rest. But yes, this one specifically I want to allow this LVS, logical volume scanner, LVS. Yes, and you see that swap and root Cinder volume. This is available now, 7.6 GB, and it is scanned. Now I can restart my service, Cinder volume. Once the scanning is done, I need to add the firewall here also. iSCSI target must be added. Now firewall, add service iSCSI target -- permanent, and then reload the firewall. And then we need to go to the compute node. We need to tell the compute to use the block storage. I am working on the compute node as root user, and we need to edit the file nova.conf on compute node. Remember, on compute node. This is my compute node, nova.conf file. Under that we need to go to the Cinder section. This is Cinder, and here I need to specify the volume name, the region name, OS region name, region 1, and then we need to restart our Nova service and enable firewall on this also. Restart, add the iSCSI target and reload the firewall. Now let's go to the controller node and verify the working of the service. We are working on the controller now. So log in as stack user, source your admin OpenRC, and now you can verify. First thing is, let's see volume service list, and you see the volume service is up, and this is important, that is up on storage node. So let's create a volume, Openstack volume create, the name with the size of 1 GB, and name will be, let's say, disk 01, and after that we can verify the volume, Openstack volume list. Yes, volume created, volume list, and should see the name of the volume. Now we'll verify the same under the dashboard. So volume successfully created and available. Now let's verify it. Admin, and if you don't see that volume, don't panic, because we may have to restart HTTPD service, which we have not started, which is running right from the beginning. Okay, after I restarted my HTTPD and memcache, I got the dashboard. Now we can see the volumes here, the volume which we created. So this is the volume, disk 01, 1 GB, the volume we have just now we created it. Delete it from here. So what we have done successfully in this session, we have installed and configured Cinder volume service, Cinder block volumes on OpenStack Usuri. Same procedure is for Victoria. I verified that. Alright, thank you for watching. Bye bye.